Okay people, I'm going to start my second leg of the rail hike from Radhaila to Great Western. I'm at 1550 meters and I'll be descending approximately 86 meters towards Great Western. I'll tell you all about it during the hike. Stay tuned and join with me for more rail hiking. Some nice salad leaves plantation. Not for me though. Okay, I'm carrying on from Radhaila towards Great Western, but I've got some very bad news. The rain clouds are coming thick and fast, very dark indeed. I wonder if I'll be able to complete this leg without getting caught in the rain. Though I have my raincoat and the GoPro, I actually don't want to get wet in this icy cold showers. The last thing I need is getting sick. And now we are in the middle of a pandemic. The last thing you need is runny nose, cough and some sore throat. You will be whisked away, done a PCR and sent to a quarantine center. I don't want that. And there is a sign called beware of rock slips and the mile post. Interesting. Very interesting signage, and you can make out the distances given in miles and chains now. Can you figure out the distance difference? While you do it, I'll continue my journey. Alright, here we come to another bend after Radhaila. Great Western Station is at 1464 meters elevation. Now, if you were to figure out the elevation gain between the station and the mountain, all you have to do is deduct one from the other. I told you the height of the mountain in the first leg. If I'm not mistaken, it's 2216, the 7th highest mountain. Anyway, now between Radhaila and Great Western, I told you there are no tunnels. There's one beautiful bridge though that is close to the Great Western Mountain Trail and the Covil. If I remember correctly, I did a small video of that Great Western Black Bridge. You might wonder why I call the Black Bridge, because all the railway tunnels in the upcountry are by and large black in color. Now it's close to Great Western. I call it Great Western Black Bridge. Oh, by the way, I also did another walk from Rosella to the Rosella Double Bridge. I wonder if you can remember that journey. I think I did a video for that. Anyway, now in terms of the elevation difference between Radhaila and Great Western, it's around 86 meters. And it is steeper than the elevation difference between Nanuwa and Radhaila. And the distance from Radhaila to Great Western is shorter than that of Radhaila and Nanuwa. Now this helps you understand the gradient. Now in Sri Lanka, we had the steepest climbs in Udupussalawa railway track. If my memory serves me right, they were 1 in 24. Yes, 1 in 24. I think there was almost 1 in 23.75 or something. I think that was the steepest part between Nanuwa and Nuwara. Then you know the famous steep incline between Rambukkana and Kadugannawa. That is 1 in 44. So that's why it takes such a long time for you to reach Badulla by train compared to the bus. However, the experience you get traveling along this beautiful upcountry line is out of this world. It is considered as one of the most beautiful railway lines, not only in Sri Lanka but also in the entire world. Now talking about these steep railway lines, there is another railway line in our neighbor's place which is slightly steeper than that of the Udupussala railway. Udupussala is known as UPR, which was opened in 1900 but had to be closed in 1948 due to the reduction in demand. Okay, now I am hearing sounds. I wonder if another train is coming, because Badulla bound Udrata Manike is not due until about 2:15. So there can't be another train. I wonder if it's going to be a motor trolley, but you can see the beautiful lady Great Western Mountain in the distance. I hope you can see. Yes, she is looking at me, keeping an eye on me, and I hope this beautiful lady will keep me protected from the rain and the winds. She is massive. She can easily cover those clouds coming across the mountain range. Alright lady, I'm counting on you. This place resembles sort of a mini sensation rock between Kadugannawa and Rambukkana. You can also see the tip of Great Western Mountain in the distance. She is looking absolutely out of this world. This is the small bridge, almost hugging the rock. Okay, I'm going to cross the bridge with you. It's a very small one, 20 meters. Yes, something like that. But still you need to watch your step. The last thing you need is getting your foot stuck between these gaps. Right, let's continue our journey. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of the areas where there is a chance of a rock falling onto the track. You can see they have built some towers onto the rocky surface to support that and help. But remember, these rocks are so unstable, they can come crashing down any moment. I don't want to hang around here soon. Let's get cracking. Okay, now we are continuing towards Great Western. The track between Radal and Great Western seem to get flooded quite easily. The reason being, onto the right is the Great Western Mountain Range, one of the largest mountain ranges in Sri Lanka. So it collects lots of water, and during the rain there are so many mini waterfalls coming down the rocky surface onto the track. On either side of the track there are drains. What happens is these drains get full of water and they sort of like stay along the railway line, making it so unstable. Therefore, railway workers have to do constant checking and maintenance, I think, between the Radal and Great Western stations. At the same time, there is a huge risk of rocks falling onto the track. This is dangerous not only for the trains but also railway fanatics like me who decide to take to the track and walk along the railway line. Now, the distance between Radal and Great Western is 3.4 kilometers. 1 kilometer less than that of the Radal and Anuva stretch. However, there are no tunnels, remember? And we are technically walking along the base of Great Western Mountain Range. And talking about the rail hikes, it's unfortunate the railway department or the CGR or Sri Lanka Railways, SLR, they have not identified the importance of allowing people to trek along the railway line, what I call rail hikes. This not only helps people be aware of the environment and they get to see the beauty of the upcountry railway line more. You can get so much close to the nature, but also at the same time CGR can make some money by issuing permits. It's true that there is a danger of somebody getting knocked down by a train and then they will have to get the responsibility and there will be a lot of paperwork and admin work. But the same can be said if you are walking along the road. So CGL can easily implement it for small groups like 3-4 people, not for 50, 60, 70 groups. This will not only help people learn about the upcountry railway line and the history, but also generate some revenue for the cash-strapped Sri Lanka Railways. If needed, they can employ some of their excessive employees, if there are any, as railway guides. Further, I think this thing I have been telling for the last couple of years, I can see there are so many abandoned railway cottages, or what I call like housing schemes, which were built for the railway workers. Now they are largely abandoned. You can find so many of them. On top of that, CGL also has abandoned railway carriages. What they can easily do is convert these into temporary tourist shelters. So what happens is somebody can start their trek, say Bandarwala. They can trek towards Idalgassinna without having to find accommodation off the railway track. They can easily find one of these railway lodges and stay there. Those workers can act like the hoteliers then, just like Sri Lankan armed forces are doing. So there are many things that they can do, but sadly there's no initiative. I hope, having watched this video, some of the powers that be, including the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Railways, get together and develop this together. Unfortunately, working together is not a very strong point in Sri Lanka. If you look at the forest and wildlife, so we have divided our forest into two groups. One aspect is looked after by the wildlife department, the other is by the forest department. I wonder if Sri Lanka is the only place where the forest is divided into two. So animals are looked after by one department and trees are looked after by someone else. You know, it sounds almost funny and hilarious, but that's how it is. Anyway, people, I've been walking for a long time with you. I think it's time for me to take a small break. Right, this is the mini bridge once again, approximately 25 to 30 meters. There's also a waterfall to the right. Let's walk and see. I feel as if I own the railway. It's just me and the railway line and the wind, rustling of the trees, such a soothing feeling. You can see the 125th mile post, and in the distance you can see some signal, rather telecommunication poles, and there is a nice V-cut. Can you make that out? Okay, let me go close and walk you through that. Very interesting. Now this area looks like a proper sensation rock. Only thing missing is the sheer drop to the left. There is a drop, but not as deep as the Miyangalla drop. Remember, that's the third longest tunnel in Sri Lanka right now in terms of railway tunnels, because Beliyatta, recently opened Beliyatta, now holds the record for the longest tunnel. Then the Singimale or the Pool Bank tunnel, then the Miyangalla or Miyangolla, tunnel number 5A. Now can you guess the fourth longest tunnel in Sri Lanka? That is the tunnel number 18, which is past Pachipola and beyond summit level. Now this looks like a proper V cut. I think folks, I'm going to have to stop you here, take a couple of pictures before continuing my journey. Hang on tight. This is the way I came from Radella. You can see the long straight line parallel to this rock. Let's look at the Hatton Nanuwe road now. This is towards the Hatton Talawakele Nanuwe road. You can see there are some estates and line houses scattered about. I think this is the steep part. Oh, by the way, I missed looking at Radella International Ground. It used to be International Cricket Stadium, but no longer in that standard. But I couldn't see that this time. I wonder why. Anyway, here we are once again at this very intimidating and imposing V-cut. Right, I'm going to walk you through this V-cut. Now you can figure out what I told you a few minutes ago. Now look at this stretch. There are two rocky walls either side of the track. When it rains, it gets flooded here rather easily because there's no way for the water to flow out of the track. This is the reason I think they have put so much ballast onto the track, because upcountry railway line, though in need of dire need of ballast in most of the places, they haven't put enough. But here, in order to compensate for the flooding and to keep the track stable, they are using metal sleepers and plenty of ballast. Now the last thing you need is a German lady growling uphill or downhill, and you get caught to her in the middle of these rocky walls. That would be one scary experience. I think I need to hurry up because I don't want to jump out of the railway line in a hurry. If the timetable is correct, Udrata Manike should be coming to Great Western very soon, but I checked with one of the stations and she's running about 45 minutes late. Even the Podi Manike Badulla bound was running around 30 minutes late. I think this is not unusual in the upcountry railway line. Well, it is not unusual in the Sri Lanka railways. It's very rare that you get trains running on time, because there are many reasons such as poor condition of the track, signals not working, crossings, and engine breakdowns, many other things which contribute to massive railway delays. It not only delays the trains but also wastes a lot of man hours which could have been used to develop this country. Sadly, that's part of the package, I guess. But I'm fairly sure if we maintain this track, renovate it properly, we can cut down the traveling time from Colombo to Badulla by about 2 hours easily. And also these intercity express trains seem to stop at every station, even substations, which in my opinion is unnecessary. They need to plan this intercity express train to run between the main stations, cutting down the time to reach the respective destinations. Because if you have to spend about 10 hours to reach Badulla from Colombo, whereas you can do the same in about 6 hours by bus, or in about 5 hours through private vehicle, the demand for the train is going to be only those people who want to travel by train and enjoy this beauty. Now this place is out of this world. I guess you understand what I'm saying, because you can clearly see the height of the Great Western Mountain and the elevation difference from here. She is such a beautiful lady. I'll go a little bit forward and do another video. Now this is going to be my thumbnail for this video. Look at this view, people. This is a $1 million view. And if you look at the top of the mountain, you can see there's like a range to the right. Along that ridge you need to climb to the summit point. 2216 if I'm not mistaken. Such a wonderful lady. This is a zoomed in view of the Great Western Lady. Oh my god. She's so beautiful. Hello, gorgeous. Oh, sexy lady. If only you knew how much I yearn to be with you. Wow, such a pretty lady. Now you can see the railway line on the other side at the base of the Great Western Mountain. Now we are looking towards Hatton, Thalawakale areas. To the left below are tea estates and line houses in and around Great Western. Can you see the Great Western Black Bridge to the left of the frame? Let me zoom in and show you. There she is. The mountain trail to the Great Western starts just beyond that. There's also a small Kovel. Wonderful place. Okay, my GoPro battery is down to 35%. And I have another 1.5 kilometers or so to go. Will she hold until I get to Great Western? You had better, baby, you had better. Now I'm very close to the Great Western Black Bridge, as well as if you can make out some of those railway quarters. That was the word I was looking for when I was telling you about this previously. These railway quarters there. And you might also be able to hear and see some of the tea pluckers busily plucking these very delicious drink, which has enchanted the entire world. Thanks to James Taylor. Ceylon tea started in 1867 of Kandy in a state called Lul Kandura, spelt as Lul Kondera. He started growing tea in about 19 acres and then expanded it where Sri Lanka became one of the major players in tea production. But unfortunately, after the Land Reform Act, if I'm not mistaken, is it LRT? Something like that. That happened in 1970s. The plantations were owned by the government. So many people close to plantations say that was the beginning of the downfall of Ceylon tea. Now our production and the quality of Ceylon tea, I don't know if it matches what it was before. Nevertheless, still in tea auctions across the world, Ceylon tea is still highly rated. We produce one of the most delicious brews in the world. I hope we can continue that trend and stay one of the key players among the tea producing countries. Okay, I'm at these railway quarters. Doesn't seem anybody occupies them. Maybe one or two, but just imagine my trekking from Nanuaya to Great Western. But I don't trek all the way to the Great Western, but stay here for the night. Then resume my journey tomorrow morning. Go somewhere towards Watagoda, say perhaps, or Thalawakale. Stay somewhere on the track once again in a place like this, so that I can do about maybe 10-12 day rail hike continuously. All CGF has to do is provide such quarters at regular intervals, like maybe close to every station, but it doesn't necessarily have to be at the station. it can be in like a secluded place like this. Now imagine my coming and being able to just stay for the night, enjoying the tranquility of the place. Now there's a nice water stream where you can have a bath if you want to, if you don't mind getting cold. So everything is provided for. So you only have to do some of the basic stuff. And these quarters or the rooms, they don't need to be luxury. You just need to provide them with a platform. Tourists or the trekkers will bring their own sleeping bags. So it's sort of like a makeshift caravan, but in a fixed position. Alright, I'm giving a lot of ideas to the railway, CGR, and I do hope they will consider and start implementing it. We really need to explore ways of promoting our tourism, promoting trekking, both to the local crowds as well as to the foreigners. Mind you, it has to be the responsible trekking, not you come here and dump all your garbage and ruin this place. Okay, I'm gonna take a small break here and take you through the bridge. This is the Great Western Black Bridge from the other side. I think I can feel the raindrops have to rush. This is the Great Western Mountain Trail. There's a small Coville. Then you can go all the way up to the 7th highest mountain in Sri Lanka. There's a very reliable and trustworthy guide called Morgan close to the Great West Station. I think when I climbed to the Great Western Mountain, I left his contact details in the description. I'll also leave them in this video also, so that if you want to come and do a bit of mountain hiking, you can take him. Very reliable. He will also provide you with meals. Very humble guy, and he will also be helping one of the needy people. Let's go to the Great Western. I think rains are imminent. I can feel the change in the temperature, and the winds have picked up. And if I look towards Nanuair, I can see it's raining there quite heavily. So it's just a matter of it coming down towards the Great Western. And I do hope it doesn't travel as fast as the train, so that it would give me another 15-20 minutes, precious minutes, to reach the Great Western without getting wet. All the same, Colombo bound Podimanike, I should not confuse the names. Colombo bound Podimanike, he was due at Nanuair around this time, so if she came on time, she should be coming towards Great Western any moment. I can also see another signage for beware of rock slip. I actually wanted to stay at the Black Bridge for the Chinese lady to arrive. Now that I know the Badulla bound train is delayed, I couldn't afford to stay there and get wet because the rains are so unpredictable, despite this being relatively dry season for the upcountry. So I'm continuing my journey towards the Great Western Station. I wonder if you can feel, or rather hear, the wind quite strong now. Okay, there is a linesman hut. If it rained, I could take shelter, but the problem is I would still need to go to the station to have my lunch and then take the return train to the Nano station. Therefore, let's continue, people. Right, let me stop you here. Now this looks like an abandoned railway line. It's like going through a very thick forest. Actually, when I came here, I think in early 2020, before the lockdown in Sri Lanka, it wasn't this bad. Okay, maybe the lockdown and the lack of manpower to clear must have resulted in this. My goodness, railway line can be barely seen. The sleepers are decaying, and I'm highly skeptical about the strength of the railway line here. That must be why so the speed barriers, I think in this line you can only travel about 10 kilometers an hour for the train. So this is what I've been telling you, causing massive train delays. We got to get our act together, start maintaining, renovating, and continue to do that, so that train will be a very attractive option for those who are traveling long distances, especially to Badulla, because being confined to a small seat inside the bus is not an attractive option for somebody over 6 hours. Instead, if the train can do the same journey, say in about 7 hours, but with all the comforts of you being able to walk around, go to a washroom, go to the buffet cart, have something, I think that's going to be very, very inviting. Unfortunately, some of the people who should be doing this are not paying enough attention, it seems. All they are doing is, whenever the track gets bad, put up a speed barrier. If it was 20 kilometers 2 years ago, now it's 10 kilometers. In about 2 years, I wonder if it's going to be about 5 kilometers, and stop the train altogether in about another 5 years. I know I'm like playing the devil's advocate right now, or seeing crocodiles in a small tank, but everything is possible. The way things are going from good to bad, bad to worse. Right, this is the Turpentine Forest area. Once again, Great Western Mountain is to our right, tea estates to our left. This is a very shady area, but right now the sun is hidden behind those dark clouds, so I haven't seen sun for a while now, and the temperature is anyway around, I think, 22 degrees. I hardly felt any perspiration despite my continuous walking. I wonder if the Chinese lady is close by. Okay, now you are seeing the signal tower, which means Great Western is nearby, probably another couple of 100 meters. Now, coming through the Turpentine Forest was a bit of an eerie experience. The wind was making so many noises. There were branches falling down, making some more noises. I felt so scared. If you have watched that movie, Hindi movie called Ras, I think I felt something similar. The only thing lacking was the mist. Apart from that, everything was so realistically scary. Now, I know I shouldn't get scared in the broad daylight, but that's part of the fun you get when you are doing lone rail hikers. Now, I wonder if I can hear the horn of Chinese S14. By the way, I just called Talawakele station and heard Udrata Manike has just arrived Talawakele. So from Talawakele, she would take another 40 minutes to get to Great Western, which will give me about 20 minutes to have my lunch and 20 minutes to get there and do the wrap-up journey. Okay, this bit is quite straight. I wonder if the footage is stable. I can probably get lucky to see both Chinese ladies at Great Western Station. Okay, now I'm going to... Okay, I'll take you a bit more because I need to try and conserve a bit of the battery to record the journey from Great Western to Nanuya on this 14. If there's space for me to try and lean out of a window, I can use the GoPro and capture some wonderful footage for you. Fingers crossed. Okay, let me get close to the station. At last, twin signal tower and the Great Western Station in the distance. Oh, I'm so relieved. Few times it looked as if I might miss catching the Udrata Manike back to Nanuya. I was actually made up my mind to take the German lady, which would come here around 3:45, but invariably she would get late and be around 4:45. But luckily I was able to beat the odds and come here on time. I wonder if you can see some crowd at the station, because Colombo bound lady should be behind me now. I think she's late today. Oh my goodness, I think I've been making a big mistake, because from Nanuya, it's not the Chinese ladies who are coming now, it should be the German lady, because I saw the early morning Udrata Manike leaving around 9:20. Then I caught the Podi Manike, and the one coming from Nanuya should be the German lady. I think I made a big mistake there, not getting it right. My apologies, people, and I hope you have watched towards the end to understand that. Otherwise you would have been blaming me the moment I made that mistake. I hope it's not that big of a mistake. It's just that I misunderstood or miscalculated all of that. Yeah, I'm now at the Great Western Station. I'm going to take a small break here. Here I have arrived at Great Western, 1464 meters in elevation. The winds are making lots of unusual noises. For a moment I thought the train has beaten me once again. Doesn't look like it's the case. Okay people, here I am at Great Western Station, having trekked nearly 8 kilometers all the way from Nanuya via Radella. From Radella I trekked about 3.4 kilometers, and elevation I lost about 86 meters. Radella was at 1550 meters and Great Western is at 1464 meters. Now I hope you enjoyed the journey. Stay tuned for more rail hikes. I'll be roaming around Nanuya, Pattipola tomorrow and day after. Stay tuned for them and stay safe.